Hi, this is Blake Angelos from Yamaha Corporation of America here at Full Compass with Yamaha's new reface line of mobile mini keyboards. The reface line of mobile mini keyboards features 4 different models: the reface CP, the CS, the DX, and the YC. Each one of the reface instruments focuses on a different technology. The reface DX features Yamaha FM synthesis. Each of the reface models runs on batteries and has built-in speakers. It's truly a mobile keyboard. The reface line is really a cool line because it came out of a group of engineers in Japan coming together and thinking, what can Yamaha make that's really cool and relevant to today's mobile technology? And they came up with these amazing products. In the years that I've worked with Yamaha, this is truly one of the most exciting products I've ever had in front of me ever. So now let's take a look at the individual reface units. The reface DX features Yamaha's FM synthesis. I remember when I bought my DX7, and one of the things that was so amazing about the DX7 was that it was extremely expressive. It was the first product that really had this amazing amount of expressiveness. The DX7 went on to become basically the sound of the 80s. So much so that that sound became, people didn't want to hear it after a while. There were so many of the DX piano sound. This sound here, actually. So the DX7 really truly was the sound of the 80s and the early 90s. And it kind of went away, but then in the 90s, late 90s or so, it had a big resurgence with electronic dance music. I actually went to a really cool drum and bass show that fully 60% of the sounds being generated were very clearly FM. FM has a very distinct sound to it. There were some cool things about the DX. One thing was that it had preset memory and you could immediately select sounds. One of the things that was a little bit challenging with the DX was FM synthesis. FM synthesis has some complexity to it. And for real-time control, you didn't really have much of that with the DX7. One of the great things about the reface DX is that we have real-time control, and you can actually get to the individual parameters of what we call the operators, of which this is a 4-operator FM synthesizer. So I can adjust those parameters in real time. And I should say something about that 4-operator. If you're familiar with DX, things like the DX21, the DX11, the DX9, those were 4-operator FM synthesizers. But they're a little different with the DX. First of all, this has effects built in, with those did not have any effects. The other thing is that they were 4 operators with a single feedback loop. This one has feedback loops on each of the operators. So you can really come up with some very unique, new sounding FM sounds. And you can do it instantly and change from 80s retro sound like this Legend EP sound with just a few movements, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that in a second. I can come up with something completely different and new. So basically, on the front panel of the DX, we have actually preset memories, which is different than all the other reface models. So I can select some presets, and I have, like I say, this one right here, the Legend EP sound. Now, over in the middle, there's an area that says FM, and there's different aspects of FM synthesis that I can address using these data entry touch capacitive sliders. These are really cool how this is set up. So I can select something like feedback. So as soon as I hit feedback, I still have the same sound, but now I can control the feedback of each of the operators by moving a few of these parameters. And it dramatically changed the sound. I can adjust things like the frequency. So literally, with just touching a few of these parameters, I can go from something that sounds a retro sound, like that EP sound, to something entirely different. That's one of the cool things about the reface DX, is that real-timeness that you really didn't have with FM before this reface DX. So I just love that aspect, that real-timeness. I start with a preset, And there's this great one here called Dynalead. And I can immediately get to parameters to change how that sounds and make it my sound. So that's a great sound. I like that sound. And that just took a few movements of that data entry slider to get to this sound. So now what I want to do, I want to save that sound. How do I do that? I use the Reface Capture app. So now if I want to save that sound, I'm going to save it to the Reface Capture app. So here it is once again. And the last keyboard that was plugged in was the CS, but as you can tell, as soon as I plug it in, it'll switch to the DX. Now I can go over and I can save that sound just like this, save. And it was saved, I started with the preset Dynalead. I'm going to call this Dynalead 2. So now I have my new sound saved here. And of course I can recall sounds. So I'm going to recall another sound. Now this is a sound that I created using that Legend EP sound that I just particularly loved how it turned out. Just really cool. The Reface DX also has 2 effect processors built in as well, something that the classic FM synthesizers didn't have. So I have effects in here such as delay, reverb, distortion, touch wah, flanger, phaser, delay. 2 effects that are identical, but they can be ran simultaneously. So I can have phaser with delay or distortion and chorus. Really cool. Another feature of the Reface DX is the looper. The looper is a feature of both the CS and the DX. But with the DX, because it has a screen, it's easy to see what's going on here. So I'll hit start and you hear the tempo. So when I turn it on, you can hear the metronome using the voice so I can play to something. And then I can set the quantize to either a 16th note or an 8th note triplet. Let's do a 16th note this time. Now I have something to play to, so when I drop it to record, and then as this is playing, I can change sounds if I want to. Back to the Legend EP sound. Changing effects while this is playing. Now if I like that sound, I can go to my capture app, boom, capture, done. Now I've captured this new sound, Phase 3. It's a good name. So that's the Reface DX. An FM synthesizer with real-time control and effects, all in this nice, cool Reface form factor. It's just really cool. I love this product. So this is the Reface DX. For more information on the Reface DX, go to fullcompass.com or contact your Full Compass Sales Pro.